Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another edition of Moments with MindLeaps. My name is Lamar Baylor, and I am the artistic consultant for MindLeaps. And normally during this day, every Friday, we have an interview series called Moments with MindLeaps, where we find someone within our network that we'd love to connect with you all who is here. And today we have the esteemed pleasure, I do at least, of being joined by David Loewenguth, and who is already here right now. He is a nonprofit manager. He's also an environmental activist and has been to Rwanda. Hi, David. How are you?
Hello, Lamar. I'm well. How are you?
I'm
Good to
doing
see you.
fantastic. It's good to see you as well. Today is your day, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you
Um,
for asking.
so, look, let's just jump right in, David, and let's just talk about it. Yeah? Can you give our viewers a little background information about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I, I live in New York City. I work at Hudson River Park. I am
Mhm.
the compost technician here at Hudson River Park, which entails collecting and processing food scraps on the west side of New York City. We process about 3,000 pounds of food scraps and we convert that into compost that we use in the park. Prior to this, I was working with CHABHA. CHABHA
Mhm.
is Children Affected by HIV and AIDS. It's a NGO operating in Rwanda. We
Mhm.
partnered with four community-based organizations, three in Rwanda, one in Burundi.
Wow.
And we were working with similar people that MindLeaps work with, similar young people, building resiliency among these young people, with these young people. The community-based organizations were started by children from child-headed households,
Mhm.
and we would provide them the resources to help with their youth and implementing programs on with education, access to healthcare, vocational training.
Yeah.
And that was really the reason. I mean, I always wanted to travel abroad, work abroad. And in 2009, I had the opportunity to volunteer with Choppa.
Mm.
Um, and I had done a lot of searching on where could I be most effective, what could I bring, and I had some experience in career development, vocational training, and
Mhm.
that was a big program within Rwanda. Um,
Nice.
a need for vocational training for young people that did not have access to education, but were caring for their younger siblings.
Mhm.
And Chaba implemented a vocational training program, and one of them was agriculture, animal husbandry, and I enjoyed that immensely. I learned a
Mhm.
lot from the households that we worked with um, about composting. They were composting everything and farming and doing a lot of agriculture.
Mhm.
So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So, since we're speaking about this composting, can you tell us about why it's such an important part of preserving the planet?
Well, I mean, you can do the research in your local community, but worldwide, we throw away a lot of food scraps. A large percentage of food scraps
Yeah.
end up in landfills. And when it ends up in a landfill, it produces methane gas. And methane gas is what is heating up our planet.
Mhm.
So if food scraps are processed properly and combine it with a carbon source and processed to make compost, we are depleting the amount of methane gas going um, into the air,
Mhm.
and hopefully maybe turning it around.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, fingers crossed, right?
Right.
Have you always been an environmentalist?
Well, I don't know if I've always been an environmentalist, but I was exposed. I remember the very first Earth Day, because I'm old. Um, the
When exactly
quite,
was that?
I think it was 1970, and I was a member of our church choir, and we
Mhm.
sang at an Earth Day event, and we got to participate and go to some workshops, and it really, what it taught me was we all had the power to turn it around. We all had the power to not pollute,
Yeah.
and there was a "Give a hoot, don't pollute" was a slogan. Um, said by an owl.
I love
Um,
that.
and I just never threw a wrapper on the ground again. I, you know, dealt with garbage properly. So I think it's something that stuck with me, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to be doing it still
Wow.
as
I
a
mean,
profession.
yeah, I mean, it's really awesome the fact that, like that one opportunity that you had as a part of this group, like you remember it that vividly and it shaped and shifted and changed your perspective on the way you navigate this world, which is very similar to the work that we do at MindLeaps is, we are exposing children to dance, and through dance they realize that they can have an access to education, and then through that education, they can develop their skills and take all the information that they've learned and then apply it to their futures, which is essentially the same thing that you've done.
Well, yes. I mean, I like to think that, it's what we built there is sustainable, and I still stay in touch with many of the young people that were involved
Mm-hmm.
in the projects there. And they are continuing to, they're committed to the young people that are growing up in Rwanda. They're still doing
Mm-hmm.
programming. And I had the great opportunity to visit MindLeaps, I think in 2009, at the original school, Fondest,
Uh-huh.
that and got to meet two different groups, a group of young people that were maybe a couple of months in training,
Mm-hmm.
and the street boys, and
Yeah.
they were very disruptive. They were not paying attention. They were, still kind of being, street boys. And it
Yeah.
was lovely to see them in this environment, and this teacher was so patient and caring
Mm-hmm.
and asking them to participate. But then the director took me to the next room where the young boys had been participating for about 6 months
Mm-hmm.
in the same program. And the difference in the two rooms was amazing.
Yeah.
These children, these young boys that were in the program for 6 months were focused, were encouraging the other young people in their class, were participating, were listening to the teacher. And, every year that I went back to Rwanda, I would visit MindLeaps. And,
Oh.
I got to know a lot of those young people, and I got to see them progress and go to school and
Mm-hmm.
learn skills and be reintroduced maybe to their households.
Yeah.
Just wonderful things that, Rebecca and her team have been doing in Rwanda. And now, how many countries, Lamar, are you guys working in?
Five African countries and one in the Balkans in North Macedonia.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
great. And the
Yeah.
impact has been wonderful.
Yeah, MindLeaps has really, really spread, and and it's honestly, it's thankfully because of people like you who are living testaments who have gotten to witness this organization grow, and you see the impact that dance has had on these children's lives, and and giving them the opportunities to really, really grow and change and shift, and honestly, watch their mind leap to this next place. Yeah, so
The energy in
go
that
for it.
house, the energy in the
Yeah,
house in Kigali was so exciting. Like
yeah,
you'd walk in and the kids wanted to show you the new computer room or wanted to demonstrate a new dance. They were just so passionate about
hmm,
the opportunity they had with MindLeaps. And it really was, so I was visiting for like 8 years. I would see these kids go from little boys, you know, to young men. And
yeah,
it was really wonderful.
yeah. So, I mean, while you were there, you said that you worked with Chaba. So, what was Chaba's mission and activities, and are the two jobs connected in any way? From your current job that you work as a nonprofit director, focusing on children affected by HIV and AIDS in Rwanda.
Sure. Well, Choppa's mission really was to partner with the community-based
Mm-hmm.
organizations in Rwanda. We were an international NGO. We came over, and the first thing we said is, "What can we do to help?" And the young leaders of those organizations said, we want to get the kids back to school.
Yeah.
Um, the connection I see between what I'm doing now and they're both, Hudson River Park is a nonprofit, so I'm still working in nonprofit. We homework on protecting yourself from HIV, on sexuality. And, these are things that so many times, we take for granted that, kids learn here in America or at home or at school. And, there it's not so easy.
Yeah.
But when they came together as a group and supported each other with these, whether it's theater or song or dance or games, lots of games being played, they would learn these lessons every week.
Wow.
And I think those two things, like the park, it's a community of people passionate about something, and it brings, it forms from that.
Yeah. Community is so important. It really, really is important. And the way it can honestly, once people get together and all working together, then, anything we can accomplish great, great things. And hopefully, we continue to.
Right. Well, you guys are accomplishing great things. I'm so happy to, know of you and be a part of you guys and watch you guys grow. It's really amazing.
That's very kind. We appreciate you, and you're a part of us. So we're all growing together. But I hear that you started with children's affected by HIV and AIDS in Rwanda as a volunteer. How does a volunteer then become an executive director?
Well, yes, I did. I volunteered there for the year in 2009. And the executive director, Susanna Granis, she made a visit towards the end of 2009, and she informed me that she was retiring, and they were going to be looking for a new executive director, and explained what the job was, and asked if I was interested in it. And it was I didn't even think much about it. I just, I knew it was going to be a part of my life. So I was grateful for the opportunity, and wanted the chance to continue to stay in touch with these community-based organizations and these individuals that built these organizations, because they really were inspiring. They really were giving me an opportunity to learn and to appreciate and to understand. I think it's so important to expose ourselves to different people, different cultures, and I really felt like I was able to connect with that.
That's awesome. What are your fondest moments of working with Choppa?
Oh, so many. So many.
Tell us all of them.
Well, I'll share a quick story that, it sort of sums it up. There was an artist visiting Rwanda, and she came from Colorado. She wanted to learn about a particular art form in Rwanda. We happened to be staying in the same guest house. And she said to me, David, when I left, friends of mine gave me this money. And they said, could you pass it on to some organization that would benefit from it? And she said, I would like to give it to Choppa. It was $200. And, I was so grateful. It was just so wonderful that she presented it to us. And so I brought the leaders of the three groups in Rwanda together, and I explained this to them. I said, you guys, which is what we did, you guys decide. We have this donation, you decide. And, they spoke amongst themselves over maybe like 20 minutes. It wasn't long. And, they said, David, we think that we should buy rabbits. We think the rabbits should go to this area called Bumbogo. It was a very rural area. Nutrition was a challenge. There was a lot of families there that didn't have access to food, and so lots of food insecurity. And I said, great, what do we do? And they said this amount of money would give us rabbits for 15 households. And each household's going to get 3 rabbits, 2 female and a male, and they will sign contracts saying that the offspring will be passed on to the next household. And it was so wonderful to watch this happen, because these young people designed it, implemented it, and made it happen. I'm sure there are millions of rabbits in Bumbogo right now. I remember going to one household where there was a grandmother caring for her grandchildren. Her children had died of AIDS, and she's caring for these grandchildren. And through the translator, she's explaining that she's so old, she can't even go to the grocery store, and now you gave her rabbits to care for. And the leader said, we gave you rabbits because the children can do it. The children are capable of caring for the rabbits. Well, the grandmother didn't look at it that way. She needed to care for the rabbits.
Yeah.
So I went back to that house like 6 months later. Rabbits everywhere. A goat. She had sold some rabbits and bought a goat. I said, are you able to eat some of the rabbits? She said, oh, yes, we had them for Christmas and New Year's, but otherwise she's selling them and she's making money on it. She's created a business for her household. And bought the goat, and then she said, this year I was able to buy the children their school supplies and shoes for school.
That's incredible. That is incredible. Wow. I mean,
it always gets me. The funny part of that story is the translator, when he was translating what the grandmother was saying, to me it sounded like Billy Crystal doing an old lady. And I was almost, she goes, I'm old. I can't even go to the grocery store. Now you're giving these rabbits to care for. And I was like, it's Billy Crystal. But that was a side story. But, it was just so great to see what $200 does. And I went to the next ceremony where they were giving, or one of them, where they were giving the offspring to the next household. And it was a ceremony. Like, these rabbits were being passed on to the next household. And you knew they were going to have the exact same impact and success. And that's one of my fond memories.
I mean, that's great community building, honestly. And I mean, you spoke about that earlier, like what happens when you put these communities together, what could happen, uplifting everyone and each other. And building businesses out of it too, as well as teaching responsibility to the youth. That's really incredible.
Right.
Yeah. Do you work with children in your current work at Hudson River Park?
We will have young people from schools come through the compost yard, learning about composting, always encouraging them to collect food scraps at home.
Yeah.
So we do a little bit of that. There's a couple schools here on the west side that have compost projects at the school, and I've met with some of them. So but then we also rely on a lot of volunteers. I have a great group of volunteers that come into the compost yard just about every day, whether it's a corporate event or individuals that live in the community that are interested in helping. It's kind of labor intensive, but the volunteers help get it done.
Wow. And just for a plug for anybody who may be interested in volunteering, how does one go about that process?
So on the website, hudsonriverpark.org, you can click on volunteers, and it will put you in touch with Friends of Hudson River Park. And that starts the process. It's quite easy. And if it's not composting, there also is gardening, land, and all sorts of volunteer activity around gardening.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Everyone, for anyone who just joined, welcome to Moments with MindLeaps. We are here talking with the wonderful and magnificent David Loewenguth. David, given that you've had experience working both in the local community in New York City and overseas, what would you say to people who don't know if they should focus their attention on making an impact at home or abroad?
Well, for me, I really searched out something that I was able to contribute what I thought I could bring something to. And of course, after I introduced myself to the head of the organization and shared with them my background, asked, is this something that I could be effective in? And can I help? Is there something I can provide if I did volunteer in Rwanda? And Susanna was very gracious and thought that I could assist in the vocational training program. So that was my initial entree into Choppa. I think in anything, whether it's local or international, think about that. What can you bring? What can you add to? And obviously something that you're passionate about or you're interested in and you're committed to. I mean, the volunteers I have that come into the compost yard, um, they're a diverse group, you know, and many of them would describe themselves as environmentalists.
Mm-hmm.
Some, I've had a couple of them that I had one young man who came for a whole summer. He was from India,
Mm-hmm.
and his father was a farmer, and he never understood why his father created this pile behind the shed.
Mm.
That was their compost pile. So he wanted to come and learn about composting because he wanted to know what his father was doing. And he grew to love it. You know, he never helped his dad in India, but he came to New York City and was doing it on the West Side. In Rwanda, we had a lot of volunteers that came that, you know, had a passion, a skill that they wanted to share with the organization. We had one young woman from Vermont that came, and she was a seamstress, a tailor, and she learned how to make a reusable menstrual pad. And
Wow.
she brought a whole training program around this and visited each program that CHABHA was partnered with and
Mm-hmm.
taught these young women in these programs about how to do this, because access to menstrual it's very difficult, it's very
Yeah.
expensive, and
Mm-hmm.
it's, you know, something that can lead a young person to drop out of school and become vulnerable. So it was such a wonderful community building program. She, you know, impacted so many young women's lives with that workshop. And, you know, another young man came from Ivy League school and
Mm-hmm.
created a curriculum for our vocational training hospitality program, and which was wonderful. I mean, you know, like, just these people
Yeah.
just took the time. They heard about it. They said, "This is something I could do," and
Mm-hmm.
came and did it. And you know, it's impacted many lives over many years.
Yeah, this is incredible though. I mean, you must have had thousands of volunteers just come through, and that's just been really, really great, both abroad and locally as well. Um,
And it's great. It's great meeting people from all different backgrounds and diversity. I
yeah,
mean, that's really wonderful.
yeah, and I mean, and you get to spread this news and this joy with everybody. This awesome, David. David, as we are about to close out, if there's anyone who has any questions, please feel free to insert them
Oh,
into the chat, and David and I will be able to take a stab at them for you. But David, as we are kind of rounding out this interview, I want to ask you if there's anything that you would like to share with our audience here today about MindLeaps or and Rwanda, anything that you could offer
oh.
to those who don't know about this work, or who should know more about it.
Well, I think everybody needs to know more about MindLeaps. You know, I don't know if I've said it enough. I'm a huge fan. I love the work you're doing. I've witnessed it firsthand. If you know me, you know I'm telling you the truth. If you're based in New York City, um, sign into MindLeaps. They do events every few months or so in New York, or used to. Maybe now that COVID is, you know, becoming less of an issue, there'll be more of those,
Mm-hmm.
because they're really wonderful. And
Mm-hmm.
get involved, donate money. Is it someplace on your Instagram how to donate to MindLeaps? Because I believe in this organization. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys have such a wonderful, committed group of people that have traveled to Rwanda. I mean, Lamar, how many times have you been overseas?
Five. I've been five
5 times.
times. Yes, I've been
For
five
those of you
times.
that don't know, he's a Broadway star. Um, and he's taken time out of his life to travel to Africa and meet with these programs and teach the children.
Hey, hey,
Um,
hey, David, this is about you.
I know, but I just love that you did that.
Um, it was honestly one of the best things that ever happened to me, and the way it impacted my life, my career,
Hmm.
my passion, my focus, it has forever changed my life. And I'm pretty sure you could say the same thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
I mean, if given an opportunity to do this, to go overseas and experience something like that, if you have
yeah.
an interest, do it.
Absolutely. Well, David, I want to say thank you so much for your giving us your time, for sharing with us everything all about you. And honestly, we are really grateful and appreciative and hope that you can come back and see MindLeaps again, maybe if not in
Oh,
Rwanda, in one of our other neighboring countries, Uganda, Mauritania, Guinea, Kenya, or North Macedonia, if you will. So we just want to say thank you again, and thank you for everyone who came to join us. And join us again next Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Here we are for another
thank you,
interview.
Lamar.
Thank you, David. You have a great
Thanks for
day.
the invite. I will visit all of them.
Bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye,
You too.
everybody. Thanks for joining us.